Caroline Ansell.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I think the quality of the silence that accompanied the reading out of those names is always very moving and really does compel us to change. And I commend the Honourable Lady for her work.
Yeah.
And I congratulate my Right Honourable friend also on opening today and on leading in this very important issue. Because sadly, we need to keep leading, we need to keep following, and we need to keep working to change the world. And I think seeing the televised images of the bombing of a maternity hospital speaks of such unimaginable evil that it must surely compel the world to see things differently. And I'm very pleased to speak today as the 448th woman in Parliament. I did endeavour to find from the House of Commons Library the number of men elected thus far, just so we can see just how much ground we need to cover to begin to catch up. But that figure is still being sought. But I'm very pleased today, nonetheless, at 448. And I echo very much the Honourable Lady in paying tribute to my mum, who was born into poverty in the 1930s Glasgow, who outperformed her start in life by dint of her fierce personality and changed the world for me, and is my staunchest supporter too. And I'd like today to pay tribute to some of the amazing women in my constituency who all in their own way are showing a better world and inspiring younger women to take their place. I'm going to speak a little about the political scene, because whilst I see women excelling and coming forward in strong numbers across all sorts of different sectors, not least during this pandemic, when sitting behind that amazing Pfizer success and the AstraZeneca success, women were very much leading the way there. Still, that issue around role models exists. And in politics, how difficult it is to inspire other women sometimes to stand. And I think the comments from my honourable friend, the member for North Devon, really underpin why that has become so difficult a challenge. A few years ago in my first term, I experienced a death threat and court case, and women in my constituency have seen and see still what I go through. I'm facing exactly the same situation again. And I reach out to them because their contribution to local government could be immense. They bring in tremendous experience and insight. They would be a power of good. And can I persuade them to stand? No. Even though we have really powerful role models, there is work to be done there, and I welcome the work around the online harms bill, which I know will start to make a real difference in that sphere. Until then, it's for women to show the way. And I met recently Dr. Amal, who was the first speaker in the United Arab Emirates, and indeed the first speaker in the Arab world. What an incredible role model she is. Her dignity, her grace, her courage. She is truly world-changing. And interestingly, she said that in terms of her own position and her contribution, she paid tribute, and I would like to echo that too. She paid tribute to the men in her life. She paid tribute to her husband and her father and her sons, who have been her staunchest supporters. And she said, and I think there's some relevance here today, she said behind many good women, there are often good men. And I offer up my colleagues today in that spirit, because whilst women are showing a strong lead, we all need to move together, and it will take all of us to do that. So in terms of those women in my constituency who all have been honoured in this last year, I want to first raise Dorrit Oliver-Wolfe, octogenarian now, but unstoppable, a Holocaust survivor who has dedicated all her years to education and to reaching younger generations, to inspire in them a message around how they can play their part in making the world a better place. And she speaks even yet and led on our Holocaust Memorial Day event. She's a published author, was a pop star in younger years, and her defiance and her commitment to this better world is just unparalleled. I'd also like to profile Laura Murphy at the Wayfinder Women Trust. Run by women, for women, they help those who are feeling anxious and uncertain about themselves and their future. They build their self-confidence and their skills, and they enable them to challenge the barriers that are facing them and to break the bias. And they have been hugely impactful for women right across my constituency and beyond. I'd also like to raise award winners Lucy Butt and Holly Preston, who launched Bramber Bakehouse, again awarded this year. Bramber, a very nice connection for us here in Parliament, was the constituency of William Wilberforce, one of my personal heroes, for his work, of course, around slavery. And they provide baking, well-being and employability programs for female survivors of human trafficking, equipping and empowering them. With women such as these leading in all sorts of ways, I just feel confident that the world can be a better place. Eastbourne is a better place for their work, and I think today we'll hear more and more examples of how women are really taking that lead, making the difference, and we wish them all every success.
Rosie Duffield.